guys, it's Jodie. Welcome back to my channel. This is going to be the first of a series of videos which I'm going to be focusing on getting Smokey ready to go to a horse show. So the show is not until February, so I've got quite a bit of time to plan. Smokey's been out of work now for a couple of months, so we've got quite a bit of work to do. The main classes that I want to enter are going to be in hand. If I can get him to the point that he's ready to be ridden at a show by February, then I'll probably enter a couple of ridden classes, but at this stage I'm not putting too much pressure on ourselves. So I'm trying to tack him up most sessions just to kind of get him used to being handled again, because it's been quite a while since I've regularly tacked him up and ridden him. At the moment he's kind of being ridden maybe once or twice a month. Just because of work, I haven't really had time to keep him in any consistent work. And I had to drag him away from his girlfriend, and it was just a little bit heartbreaking because they're just so cute together. So you can see from these clips that he's looking pretty scruffy at the moment. I haven't trimmed his mane in over a year, so it's kind of long and uneven where it's rubbed out on his winter rug. And yeah, he just tried to bite me on the bum. This is something that he used to do a lot, and I've done a lot of work on the left side of his body but not as much on his right, so he still does it occasionally. I think this just comes from the fact that he was a racehorse, and the trainers that had him probably didn't have a lot of time to spend tacking him up and taking it off. So he gets a bit worried about gear being put on his back, probably because stuff's been just kind of chucked on and tightened up as far as it will go. I've spent a lot of time on this, just with anything, saddle pad, the saddle, just kind of swinging it on his back and then removing it straight away, then putting it straight back on, just in a rhythmic way, just until he relaxes, and then taking it off completely. I found this has really helped him to learn to relax when I'm putting things on his back, and he's kind of realised over time that I'm not just going to throw it on and cinch it up as high as it will go. I've been using open front jumping boots and bell boots on him for about 6 months now. And I've found that it's really hard to get them on properly. I'm not someone that's ever really used boots before, so if you have any tips, please leave them in the comments below. Let me know too if you know of any brands that make extra large open front jumping boots, because the large ones just don't quite fit him properly. This is why it takes me so long to tack up, because he has to have an ear scratch. So I've switched over to helmet cam, hat cam, I'm not really sure what to call this now. So apologies that the footage is a little bit crooked. I have a lot of trouble getting it straight on the top of my head. So the exercise that I wanted to work on today is a Buck Brannaman, I have so much trouble saying his name, is a Buck Brannaman exercise called the half circle exercise. If you're not familiar with it, I'll link it down below so you can have a look. He explains it way better than I ever could, but essentially I'm just getting him to do a half circle around me and then asking him to come in and swapping to the other direction. So I often have a lot of trouble with him when he's on the lunge. When I send him off, he tends to get too fast and too far away from me, and tends to go around with a bend to the outside of the circle. This exercise is really good for getting your inside bend, just because you're using the anticipation of changing direction to keep that inside bend, because they think that you're going to ask them at any second to come back in and swap directions. They tend to keep their body cocked towards the inside because it's easier for them to switch around. So this is quite a simple exercise, but you can see he has quite a lot of trouble doing this, and there's a lot of head shaking going on. He kind of gets a bit too fast, gets away from me, gets slightly cross when he gets the wrong answer. I don't get too worried about it at this stage. With more consistent work, all these little quirks kind of go away as he gets used to it and he gets a bit stronger. So he gets pretty stuck here and gets quite mad at me because apparently it's my fault that he's not paying attention and not noticing that I'm actually asking him to go to the right. And he had a massive spook there because someone actually came through the front gate. But yeah, he shakes it off and he's good again. You'll notice with these videos that when I'm doing groundwork with him, I spend a lot of time allowing him to relax and come back down. This is something that I've seen Warwickshire doing a lot of recently. So the idea is that when you ask them to do something, they get a little bit uptight, get a little bit stressed, and if you don't allow them time to come back down from that they hold on to that worry, which collectively can become something bigger, like a buck or a rear or a spook. I found with him that he tends to be a generally quiet sort of horse, but he's very sensitive as well, and sometimes he does just do weird things that seemingly come out of nowhere. And the more time that I'm spending working on stuff on the ground with him, the more I'm noticing the really small signals that he has that kind of indicate to me that he's getting a bit overwhelmed and needs to have a break. I kind of think of it in the way that when you're a child, you need to have a break from something more frequently than you do as you hit adulthood. I find the more breaks that I take, the easier he is to work with and the more he seems to retain as well. So generally, the more breaks that I have in the middle, the more relaxed he becomes and the better is the next session that I work with him. So the thing that I like the most about this exercise is that it can be done at any gait. So I'm mainly focusing on it at a walk at the moment, just because he's not very fit and he finds this quite hard. But in between, I'm allowing him to go up into a trot. By letting him move his feet, it seems to allow him to blow off a little bit of steam if he is getting a little bit worried. And I find that when he comes back in, he's a lot more relaxed. You can see he got really stuck there, so I just let him come in so that he can have a break. I also noticed that my stirrup iron had mysteriously run down again. I try not to do this exercise too frequently because it is tiring for him. It's also really repetitive and both of us have a really short attention span, so we both get bored really quickly. So it's about here that I've kind of had enough, he's kind of had enough, but I'm just trying to end on a good note. In hindsight, I probably should have ended it at the last one because he's getting ridiculously sassy here. You can see from the way he's trotting around that he kind of has had enough. So now I'm just allowing him to have a really good relax. So that's kind of what I'm looking for as well. He gets this really worried look on his face where his eye crease becomes really prominent. You can see there his facial expression. He just doesn't look quite right. So I'm just allowing him time to come back down and looking out for any lip twitching or anything else going on. And there's the nice big lick and chew that I was waiting for. So now his eye looks much softer, and overall that's just a much happier looking horse. He just looks a lot more at ease with himself and with what's going on. and he loves face scratches. So watching this video back, I really should have finished here because this was a great spot to stop, but I was tempted to try one more time just to see if I could get a better response from him, and he gets stuck here again, so I kind of repositioned myself to make it easier on him. And you can see he's generally a bit more relaxed than he was before, still by no means perfect. And he still does that weird little hop and skip as he's trying to change direction. But I felt like at this point that he was actually listening a lot more, and he felt much softer in my hand as well. Still doing that little sassy trot, that I don't mind. Can someone please tell me what to do with that weird short bit in his mane? Because the rest of it's so long and I just don't know what to do. Do I hog the whole thing? Do I trim it all really short? Do I just leave it? I have no idea. Please let me know in the comments below. So that concludes our first video of this new series. So be sure to subscribe if you do want to follow our videos here on out. Hopefully we're going to make this show in February. We've tried a couple of times now and haven't had much success, but I feel like 2019 is finally our year and that we're finally going to do it. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you all again in the next video.